Yo, what's up, guys? 40 years and 40 beers here with Bob Bain and Joe Massey. Guess what today is? DMX's motherfucking birthday. Get off me, dog. Can you believe that it's his damn birthday? Yes, Harper. See that? Even she wants to get involved with the DMX
That's perfect
episode.
timing.
That was perfect. Can you believe it's his birthday? How long has he been dead, cuz?
I don't know, man. We're going to have to look that up. No, I didn't know until you told me earlier today.
So the one thing we're going to allow through this whole DMX episode as a tribute is we are not going to edit out the dog barking.
Correct.
All right. The dogs deserve to be in the episode for our dog DMX.
4/9/21.
So, God, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It seems like yesterday.
I mean, he was such a cultural icon, right? I mean, I don't think there's anybody, even if you weren't like, I guess at that time, even if you were listening to like Y1, right? You were into Nirvana, you were into whoever. Who were the rock bands at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, that's right.
You still knew who DMX was.
Creed, Nirvana. Yeah. When he would perform, he was in a venue with a lot of alternative rock bands as well. Like
Woodstock.
you wouldn't catch like somebody like Jay-Z or, Wu-Tang. I guess Wu-Tang's a bad example. They probably would be, but
They could have pulled it off possibly.
He was able to pull off touring with non-hip-hop acts 100%.
So let's talk about the Woodstock thing. I mean, the fact that he was able, as a hip-hop artist, right, by himself, I'm sure you've seen pretty much the whole concert, right?
Yeah.
Which was so friggin' incredible.
Yeah.
And how many people were in that crowd? And I saw
remember
some.
That's crazy watching that on TV. Like
It was
because you
insane.
hear stories of the original, you know what I mean? Like from when we were kids. Like and to be watching it was unbelievable. But that's what I'm saying. Like he was that kind of artist. You're not going to be able to have these crazy street records with like the locks and stuff like that, and then be able to also have your stuff perform at Woodstock too.
No, and the fact that he can hold the stage, and let's be frank, right? Let's be honest. Let's put all our cards on the table. It's X's birthday.
Yeah.
It's X's birthday. We're not holding
birthday.
back. All right. How much of that crowd was black at Woodstock?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
15%. And the crowd went friggin' crazy. He
But
had 200,000 white people screaming the N-word.
growling like dogs. But he had prayers. He had records for women. Right?
He did.
The
He
John
did.
with Cisco. He had like real street records. They were popping. He was the first, way before Meek. He was the first one to have the quads and the bikes in his videos.
Well, that was a whole. I mean, so was that him though, or was that the Ruff Ryders theme? I mean,
it was the
well,
Ruff
I guess
Ryders,
Ruff
but
Ryders came
saying,
after X, right? I mean, X was X, and then Ruff
there
Ryders.
is no Ruff Ryders without X. He was the leader. But like I'm saying, to have your friends or to intentionally get people to do that in a music video, he did it years, but probably before Meek was even born. But yeah, that's the thing. Like there was no one who couldn't find something of his to appreciate. Maybe you didn't enjoy it, but to be fair, half those people were probably just whacked out of their mind, and they were going to be enjoying whoever came on next. But
sure, it's a big regret I have. I wish I would have went. I mean, I wish I was there for the first 2 days and got out of there on Sunday morning before all the crazy shit happened.
You remember like they're like in the mud and there's nowhere to go to the bathroom or shower. It's crazy.
That's not fun to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But back to X. So I always think about that when he's on the stage at Woodstock. Whenever I watch the video, because I watch Woodstock, it was 99. It was Woodstock 99. I watch it a lot. And when he comes out, you're just like, oh my God, the way the crowd responded. And he actually came out the first day.
Did you ever see, what's the, I don't know if it's LeBron. One of the basketball players has like a podcast or like an interview show. I think it's actually on Max.
Patrick Beverly.
No, they're in a barber shop. It's like
So it's not really a podcast. It's more of just like an interview series on TV.
Did you ever see the one with Jay?
No.
So, I mean, there was a million things they discussed, but there's a whole segment where he talks about the Hard Knock Life tour. And he was saying like how Meth and Red would go on first, then X, then Jay, right? Because Jay was the headliner. So, he's talking about the Hard Knock Life tour. And so DMX went in the middle of Meth and Red and Jay. And he's saying like how when when the Hard Knock Life record came out, he wasn't really like great at performing on stage. And he was saying like X comes out and all you hear is like the dum dum. You know what I mean? From that one record. And then he's like, he's growling from behind the curtain. And the crowd goes crazy just from the growl and the two beat hits. And so he comes out and he start 1 2 1 2, you know.
1 2 1 2 1 2 oh, you don't know what
You know what I mean? He starts that record and like the guys are going crazy. And then halfway through, he takes his shirt off and he's doing the Cisco record and all those other like party up in here and all like that. And then the girls go crazy. And he says by the end of his set, he breaks into a prayer and he's got the whole place. They're literally like crying tears. And he was saying like, then they hand the microphone to Jay and they're like, now you go. You know what I mean? And he's like, he made me step up my game, my performances on stage so much because he put everybody to shame on the first night.
So X was the last act before Jay would come out.
Correct. So it was Meth and Red, and they would. So we were actually there for the one in Jersey, but Meth and Red would come out they would come out flying. They had like harnesses and they would come out flying into the crowd instead of like a mosh pit. Mm-hmm. And then they would do like all kinds of like blackout stuff and all their records. And then X was in the middle. So like X, Dragon, Eve, Locks, they were in the middle. And then Jay and Rockefeller was at the end. But he was saying like how you don't realize it when you're in the stage because you love all the songs. You're there for Jay. And, but when he was in that interview in the barbershop, he was saying like, we went from growling and the guys going crazy to shirt off and the women going crazy to now we're praying and everyone is literally crying tears. And he's like, now,
how do I top this shit?
And then he goes, we went from DMX saying a prayer and everyone crying to it's a hard knock life.
Yeah. The crowd was like, fuck this.
He was saying like how, and then he was saying like, now we have another, 45 states to do and another X number of shows. He's like, I have to step my game up. I have to improve. But I always loved that story because he was right. Like I was there and I remember being like that with everybody else. But you don't realize that to follow that, you always hear comedians say it's hard to follow so-and-so. But I've never heard someone at Jay's level admit that. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, I got a beer in my hand here. We got to talk about this because I know there's a story about Nori going to friggin' X's apartment, right? You told me the story. And all I want to say is, Nori, do me a favor. Send me some of that tiger blood or whatever the hell it is you're drinking. What is he drinking, cuz? The snake juice or tiger bone? I need some tiger bone, Nori.
The bones of tigers. I don't know if it was on.
Did Nori discover him? Nori didn't discover him. Who discovered him?
No. Think it was Irv. I think Irv Gotti.
Wasn't he freestyling like with Jay-Z? Jay-Z used to talk about how he used to run into him in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And he'd be freestyling.
But I mean, as far as like bringing him to D and Y are Swiss's uncles. They started Ruff Ryder, the label.
Well,
it became what it was because of
Def Jam. But so Ruff Ryder was already an independent label before he went to Def Jam?
I don't know if there was a period where they were independent, but X was exclusively on Ruff Ryders. Yes, the parent company was Def Jam, but I don't know if there was a period of time where X was putting out records as Ruff Ryders without being under the Def Jam umbrella.
So he never put out a record. So It's Dark and Hell is Hot didn't come out under Def Jam?
It was on Def Jam.
Under Rough Riders.
100% records? It was on Def Jam. Yeah, it was on Def Jam.
It was on Def Jam.
Rough Riders, Def Jam, but it was always Ruff Ryders. And so,
we actually got it. Yeah, we got. Let's get back to the Nori story.
So I don't know if it was on Drink Champs or someplace else, but he was saying like he went to go visit him.
Like I met X in River Park Towers.
Like this is like early days. They're just like friends. He went to go visit him in his ghetto, the building complex, whatever it was.
It is doorless because that's the story I've heard. I have no idea. I've never been to Yonkers.
Yeah, there's no door.
I heard there's no doors on the goddamn projects.
He said as he's walking up, they threw a refrigerator off the roof.
And they threw a refrigerator off the roof.
At Nori or just for fun?
No, I don't know. He doesn't give you the impression that it was at him. And I don't know if he would even know, but he was saying like that's how crazy of a neighborhood that he was just trying to illustrate how bad the neighborhood was. D and Y Dean are the guys who started Ruff Ryders. They are Swizz's uncles. And I believe it was Irv that found him in those ciphers and brought him there.
So then why? So then why? Irv, I'm sorry. When you say Irv, I
Gotti.
think Irv. Yeah. So then why wasn't he with Murder Inc?
He wasn't with.
Irv probably didn't have his label yet, right? Irv was probably just in the
I don't.
music
Yeah,
circles.
Ja Rule came after X and J, and
Did he? Because
Irv.
listen, I was. Are you sure? I was in college and I had a radio show. I was a DJ and I was spinning Ja Rule records in like '99, 2000.
Not very long after, but Ja Rule was not a household name
Get
when
at me,
It's Dark
dog.
and Hell is Hot. When It's Dark and Hell is Hot came out, he was not a household name when Reasonable Doubt came out. Irv produced on Reasonable Doubt, so him and Jay had a relationship.
I knew
from
that.
then.
I knew Irv produced Reasonable Doubt.
I believe
did
it
know
was
that.
Irv. I could be wrong, but and then Swizz was like a young kid at that time, and he still to this day makes phenomenal beats, and it was just like it was a match. They're like X and Swizz are like the Yonkers version of Gangstar.
Tell you what, you were right. You were absolutely right.
Yeah.
Looking at it right now.
But with the He Was Discovered piece again.
So you're right. He was discovered and championed by Ruff Ryders. So I
Yeah.
did not know that. I just assumed the way the music business works, right? Like G Unit, like Shady Records, like shit. Who else? What's Wu-Tang Records? You know what I mean?
No.
Like you sign with the major label and
They
then
were
you're a
with Loud.
subsidiary. They were with Loud. So you sign
Yeah.
with the major label and then
Right.
you're a subsidiary. But it looks like Ruff Ryders was an independent label. And like you said, Wah and D, with early support from Irv Gotti, that's how they got the demos out. And he was
Yeah.
in unsigned hype, just like Biggie. I mean, that's what happens. You know, you ended up in the Source's unsigned hype before Benzino went crazy. He put a lot of goddamn people on that. So that's interesting.
But there
That's
was
an
no
interesting story.
denying his talent and ability. And I'm saying like the matchup, like Jay had several different very good producers behind him. But primarily especially for the first two albums, which came out 8 months apart. It's Dark as Hell is Hot and Hell is Hot, and then Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood came out 8 months apart. And especially when you listen to, like, if you remember, Flesh is in my top 10 from that episode that we did. And
It is. It's a great album. Listen, they're both unbelievable albums. Let's be
Yes.
honest.
I had never heard anything like Get At Me Dog before him.
Correct. When that came
And-
out, the whole album. So I don't equate DMX to Eminem, okay? But I equate that album, It's Dark as Hell is Hot. When that came out, because that came out before Eminem, I want to say Dark as Hell is Hot was maybe 98.
Yeah, I think Slim Shady, Hi, My
98,
Name Is was probably
99.
99.
And maybe they coincided with each other, but DMX was first. I know that. DMX was before Shady. Both times you're going, I've never heard anything like this before.
That's a connection because it was hip hop and you had Dre behind M and you had Swizz behind X, but like the uniqueness and the
Correct.
so far off the beaten path of what you were used to from both of them. I remember feeling the same way about Hi, My Name Is as I did Get At Me Dog.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
And then you go into, all right, so the single comes out, right? This is before the album comes out. The single always comes out before the album.
Yeah.
So then the
It has
album
Chic
comes
Luch
out.
on it. Chic from the Locks is doing the hook.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the album comes out. And then you realize, like, is Damien on there or is that on Flesh of My
I'm
Flesh?
pretty sure Damien's on there. Hold on, I'm about to look it up now because
It's Going Down. It's Going Down's on there, right? It's Going Down's on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably, I don't know that it doesn't have any skips. But
So
it might
Ruff
have one
Ryders
or two.
Anthem is unbelievable. Rough Riders Anthem starts off the album. Look through my eyes, see what I see.
Yes.
Get At Me Dog, X is coming, 1, 2, X is coming for you. To flip Freddy Krueger, to have the balls to do that is crazy.
I don't know that there are
Damien-
any skips. I don't know. And I'm actually upset now that I don't have this in my top 10.
Damien, How It's Going Down, Mickey's a great skit. It's me, Mickey.
Yeah.
Stop Being Greedy, and ATF. Boom,
There's
boom, boom.
no
Open the
skips.
door. It's ATF. Yeah,
There's no
Right.
skips.
yeah.
So
But
in
it's
my
still
opinion,
just like with Nas and maybe even Jay, the second album, I prefer the second album over the first.
So-
So Flesh,
think about this. Let's go through Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, right? Could this possibly be, because this is iconic if this is possible, within 8 months, did this cat drop 2 albums that have no skips?
classics
That have
with
no
no
skips.
skips. So My Ninjas is number one. That's a classic. That's one of the best hip hop intros of all time. I don't think it's the best, but it's up. It's top 5.
So we've already talked about this, and you disagree. I think the best
Yeah,
intro ever
you
is
can't.
I think
No one
Reasonable
can
Doubt.
argue that. No one
Reasonable
can
Doubt's
argue
the
that.
best intro ever. I think with the whole play on Carlito's Way, and I
But I'm
love.
saying that's like a skit. I'm saying in terms of like rapping the intro,
Mhm.
this is at the top. But it's I don't think it's actually number one for me. I think the Dynasty intro was number one. But so it's My Ninjas, Bring Your Whole Crew, Pac-Man, Ain't No Way You're Gonna Stop My Shine. We don't give a
Pac-Man.
F. Keep Your Shit the Hardest, Coming From with Mary J. Blige, It's All Good, The Omen with Marilyn Manson.
Yeah. Remember that one?
To go. So that's probably what parlayed him into Woodstock. You have
Possibly. I think
a hit single on a hit album with Marilyn Manson.
I wonder if he did any Flesh of My Flesh
Slippin'.
songs that Slippin'. Oh my God.
No Love for Me, Dogs for Life, Blackout with Jay-Z and the Lox, the actual title track, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, Heat, and Ready to Meet Him. So that's where he started to do like the religious content at the very end.
All right, so let's say Flesh of My. There's probably in the mainstream world, right? Even among really true hip hop fans, there might be one or two skips on there. There might be a song or two people don't like. But in the grand scheme of things, this cat who just hit the scene put out 18 songs that were incredible and not mixtapes. All right, these were studio albums in 8 months.
So It's Dark had 19 and Flesh had 16. So 35 records in 1 year.
So I'm way off. Let's say 30.
Yeah,
30
right.
songs.
Yes. Yeah.
In 8 months. Not even, we have to make sure we keep saying that because it wasn't a year. It wasn't 14 months. It was 8 months. So did he record all these songs at once? Is that what happened?
That's what I don't know. He could have. So for it to be 8 months apart, it definitely had to be like a February. And hold on. So let's look it up. I think it tells you right here on Apple Music. May 12th, 98 was It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Okay. So it was definitely before the Slim Shady LP.
December 22nd, 98. Not even 8 months. May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, 7 months.
7 months.
7 months. That's bananas.
That is bananas.
May and December.
Knowing what we know now, is it because he was just that good? And listen, I'm not judging at all. I'm not, but it was kind of an interesting concept for me. I was like, oh my God, is that, was he just on the go all the time though? Was he on the go all the time because of the crack?
I think his habits may have been able to help with the speed of how he churned stuff out. But I don't think it improved his talent like
not at all.
Like the Grateful Dead had to be stoned or the Doors had to be stoned in order to make such and such. I don't think it was like that. I think it could have kept him going at a certain speed that allows you to do 2 classic albums in 7 months. And there's people on them, right?
There are.
This was at a time where you couldn't email a beat and a verse to someone from across the country.
Correct. You had to be in the studio. You had to be working together.
Okay, the Lox are easy, right? Because they're your boys. They're there with you. For My Dogs had a bunch of Ruff Ryders cats on it, so that doesn't count. Mace, Ninjas Done Started Something is one of my favorite songs of all time. That's the last track on It's Dark. So maybe Mace had to fly in from somewhere, but then you got Mary J. Blige. But you also
weren't. No, you're right though, Mass. You weren't in a place in 1999 where you could record songs on different board. Well, I guess you could, right? I guess you could put it on CD and,
there were ways to take so they're called stems, right? So the individual tracks, like, okay, you got drums on this track, then you have piano on this track, then you have a vocal here, a vocal there. Each one of those tracks it's called a DAW, a digital audio workstation. So Pro Tools is a DAW, and each one of those tracks is called a stem. So there were ways to export the stems, but you had to drive them or mail them somewhere. You couldn't digitally send it in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, you weren't emailing or texting it or putting it in a Google Drive. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, we can text MP3s now to each other. Yeah, you couldn't, right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, they both grew up in Yonkers, but they weren't in Yonkers any longer. So you had to go find Mary J. Blige. You had to go hunt down Marilyn Manson. You had to hunt down Jay-Z. Like you couldn't just, these weren't all
Now here's a crazy question for you. This just hit me. How genres cross over, right? Different styles of music. Do you think that Marilyn Manson contacted X, or did X contact him?
I don't know. I don't know if X is the type to contact him.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
But I do think somebody at Def Jam could have put that bug in somebody at Ruff Ryders' ear.
You know what?
I definitely think Def
wonder-
Jam could have coordinated that or orchestrated it.
I wonder if they were at the same label.
You think Marilyn Manson was on Def Jam?
They have a whole. Let me say. Let's see who he.
Antichrist?
Who did he sign with? Record.
Antichrist Superstar.
Antichrist Superstar would have been that album.
Interscope. Def Jam.
So Interscope. I mean, they probably collaborated, right? I mean, Jimmy Iovine knew everybody.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really
So Antichrist Superstar, which had the Beautiful People, right? That
Beautiful
was his
People,
that was his
Tourniquet.
single.
I had
Tourniquet.
that album.
Tourniquet was a great record. Bernie put me on to him. I had
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't Sinatra or doo-wop, I went straight to hip hop. I wasn't really exposed to any of this stuff. Like April has a lot of like really cool 80s and 90s music that her sisters, exposed her to, or maybe she found on her own. But if it wasn't
Your parents didn't listen
Sinatra
to like
or
Michael
doo-wop,
Jackson?
I went straight to hip hop. But Bernie, Bernie put me on to Marilyn Manson in 96. And then I remember being in Bernie's house playing Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood over and over again for hours on end, playing cards at the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Up in his upstairs. So I definitely think there was someone else besides the two of them that orchestrated that, because you can tell immediately that X's style lends itself to that kind of collaboration.
No, it does. It
Yeah.
does. Back to the whole thing about like what I was saying about, we know that he had some serious issues, serious demons.
I think it helped with the speed. I don't think it helped with the talent,
But here's my other question.
like the lyrics.
The craziness, right? The persona.
Oh yeah, 100%. If I'm being honest.
Do you think the whole like, not like acting like a dog and being all crazy would have been part of his persona?
Well,
I mean, cause the guy had a Bic pen tattoo, One Love Boomer on his goddamn stomach.
but by the time Get At Me Dog single releases, Snoop Dogg is already a household name. Doggy
Okay.
Style is already, and it still is to this day, but Doggy Style is already light years. It's one of the most classic albums ever made. If now, what was that, 95, 93, 94, 95?
So Chronic came out in 92. So yeah, probably 93. I would say Doggy Style's got to be 93.
Hold on, I'm fixing to find out.
Maybe
93.
94. 93.
So-
okay.
In a world where someone raps and already has the dog persona wrapped up and already released a classic album, if you're going to come with a dog type thing yourself, it has to be different.
It has to be different. Okay. All
And Snoop was so laid back and chill with a giant afro, and X is ripped to shreds with a bald head. And I just think the aggressiveness and the gimmick of the barking and stuff was a way to differentiate himself from Snoop. The third one was garbage, but the third and fourth were horrible, but the first and second were iconic. So again, 99. So April of 99. So now he drops Flesh in December of 98. And in April of 99, he comes out with Ruff Ryders compilation volume 1. Ride or Die, Down Bottom was an unbelievable record. And to have Juvenile on that, AZ, Jigga on number 4, that was to give Jay his own song.
Yeah.
On your
I agree.
group compilation was unbelievable.
Well, you also had What You Want, right? I mean, What You Want was incredible.
With Eve.
Yeah.
Out, Bug Out, the beat for Bug Out is one of my favorite beats of all time. And then The Hood it might have been one of the first songs you heard Beanie Siegel on.
Well, what was
And he's got Mason, Jermaine Dupri.
the first single off that album? It had to be What You Want with Eve, because it wasn't going to be just the Jigga, just the Jay-Z song for a Rough Riders album.
No. What are you on Apple Music?
I can do it right now just on YouTube.
No, I know, but on Apple Music, I don't know if you can see this. Look at the dots, cuz
Yeah, I say them.
the dots indicate the singles.
So that's how many singles came off of that album.
Down Bottom, What You Want, and Jigga My Ninja.
What was down?
So, and Pina Colada with Big Pun. That was an amazing record. Now it gets way better on volume 2. World War III. World War III's got Jada, Snoop, and Scarface.
Well, hang on one second, because I forget this. I forget Down Bottom. I'm bringing it up now.
With Juvenile. Bam. They were.
Oh, there it is. I forgot
Yeah.
all about this.
So,
This is Down Bottom. Okay. Drag
volume
on. Game
2
on.
is World War III, which is Snoop, Scarface, and Jada Kiss. That was unbelievable. That beat, Tugboats. 2 Tears in a Bucket is Method Man.
2 Tears in a Bucket. That's incredible.
Method Man. But then Twisted Heat, Drag On, and Twister go back and forth. They keep getting faster as the song progresses.
Yes.
It's one of the most unbelievable songs I've ever heard.
Now,
So
here's
to-
a question why we're talking about this. Because let's be honest, after the first 2 albums,
He fell off.
I think X, the one album he came out, X, which was a couple of years after, finally came
And
back.
well, because that's my point, because he had these two.
That's what I'm asking. Did they start just focus with the Ruff Ryders albums were better than his individual albums after the first 2?
Yeah, correct. But maybe everyone else focused on the collective, but as an individual, you're responsible for your own lyrics. Like, and Swizz never, still to this day, doesn't have a shortage of fantastic beats. So
Well, you know what? He
don't want
probably
to
got a
blame but
piece.
yourself.
He was the guy, right? I mean, he was probably
Yeah, that's what I'm
getting a
saying.
piece of
They were
Eve
like-
and Drag On and the Locks.
They were
I
like
mean,
a
he was getting-
Yonkers version of Gangstar.
Yeah.
DMX and Swizz Beatz go together like Guru and Primo, Eric B and Rakim, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then there was X was also 99. So in April of 90, same thing. In April of 99, Ruff
How many
Ryders Volume
albums
1.
did Ruff Ryders as a collective put out in
A lot.
an 18-month span?
Drag On's first album was really good. I
Like,
still
what did they put out, like 8 albums?
Eve
Jada Kiss?
Philly with Siegel is one of the best songs of all time.
Philly is where I am from.
I remember listening to that in preparation. I remember like riding through South Philly, just listening to that song on repeat, because the rumor was, and it did come true, but the rumor was Siegel was spitting a cappella at the very end of the concert.
Okay.
And he did. I'll have to send you the YouTube video when we hang up. But so you have Redman and Method Man start the show, and they're flying in the air as people are still coming into their seats. And then
I
X,
can't imagine what was going on with these two. They're both high as a fucking kite, flying through the air.
you gotta, and then X, right? We already heard what Jay said about X, and then the entire Rockefeller, like everything that existed up until Volume 2 being released. So Reasonable
Volume
Doubt,
2 would have been what? You would have
Volume
had
1
Jay-Z.
and Volume 2.
You would have had Jay-Z, right? You would have had
Memphis Bleak,
Bleak.
Mary J. Blige, Ja Rule, Can I Get a what? That was out. Emil was out.
Rule, so Murder Inc. was on the tour too.
No, Ja Rule was there for that record because if you remember, it was the single from the Rush Hour soundtrack.
Okay.
But it just so happened to be on Jay's Volume 2 as well. So Ja Rule was just there for that one song, but he stayed the whole tour. Like he's on
Okay.
the bus with them and in the videos and stuff. But so then no one knew who Siegel was. And he comes out and he does an a cappella at the very end of the show. So we go through Redman and Method Man, DMX and the Ruff Ryders, Jay-Z and all of Rockefeller, Mary J. Blige, this one, that one. The show's about to end. Like we're minutes from the lights coming on. And Beans does like a 4-minute a cappella with no beat.
Really?
And I remember when we saw it in Jersey, he had an Eagles jersey on. I remember being so excited to hope that came true because we were listening to him on the mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of people didn't know who he was, but from major figures, he wanted to be. He actually says he went on $1 Million Worth of Game and admitted to Gilly that he wanted to be a major figure before Jay signed.
Guys, at the end of the day, I think we realized that we were all really fortunate, right?
Yeah.
To experience an artist who had some incredible demons, who frankly used
was
those
amazing.
demons to put into his music. You know who Jim Valvano is? He was a coach from North Carolina State basketball, and he had cancer. And long story short, like they have an award for him now. He was a great motivational guy. And he talks about how kind of what you said about the concert with X. And this kind of goes into the type of person that he was, even though he had these demons. So Jim Valvano said every day, the way he tries to live his life is he tries to laugh. All right. Also have his emotions brought to tears. Okay. And spend some time in thought. And he said, if you laugh and you cry and you think, that's a hell of a day.
Yeah.
Right? It's a hell of a day. Think about what X did at the concert you talked about. The guys were up in arms, the girls were up in arms, and then he made them all cry. That's a hell of a friggin' show.